Welcome everyone to this very special Ubuntu community team Q&A. Today, one day after the release of Ubuntu 16.04, we're here to talk about everything that's new, answer your questions, and essentially talk about anything that you're interested in around Ubuntu, open source, and anything that we can answer actually. I'm joined today by Daniel Holbach and Alan Pope. We're part of the Ubuntu community team at Canonical. And if you're seeing us on IRC or on YouTube, and if you're around, just let us know if the sound is coming through and the image and so on. This is a bit of a tradition in our Q&As, so that we don't feel that we're that lonely and talking to ourselves, essentially. As usual, if you've got questions, you should probably be in Ubuntu-on-air, the IRC channel on Freenode. And please do prepare your questions with the word questions so that they are highlighted for us and we can see them and collect them easily. So Jivan is telling us that they can hear us and see us, so thanks a lot for confirming. And we have a few questions coming up, but I was wondering if I could ask a question to you guys, Daniel and Poppy. So what are your favorite features of this new release, or anything that you think it's worth highlighting as one of your favorites?
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
All right. I like the fact that we switched off online search by default in 16.04 because I, personally speaking, never used it. Well, I think I used it once to demo how it worked, and it didn't work as well as we hoped it did, and I'm glad we got rid of it.
Alrighty. What do you think, Daniel? What's your favorite feature?
Yeah, lots of things, lots of small things. What I really like is when I'm using my phone and I keep getting the OTAs, everything is just getting better all the time. Like there's bug fixes, improvements, new apps. Since the newest release, there's Deco and UNAV installed by default, some great apps which came out of our great phone community. Also Snappy, of course. I've been working with the Snappy team closely, and yeah, well, there's still lots of discussions around it, like how is it going to work, which interfaces, lots of moving parts. What I really like is the promise that packaging is going to be easier. I'm passionate about it because I've been trying to teach packaging for at least 10, 11, 12 years, and it's just too hard. It should be easy. If you have software, if you manage to write it, it should be easy to get it to users, and we're taking really big steps. So I'm super happy. We now have a good foundation for getting that into 16.04.
Excellent. So, as
there's million and two other great things which landed on the desktop and the server, which, because I've been using 16.04 basically since the day the release opened, I guess I didn't notice a lot of these changes because they came in gradually, but I'm sure there's loads.
I was going to say Snappy, but I decided not to because I knew Daniel would want to say it. So I said something else.
I mean, we
can have that one.
Would have been totally fine as well. Would have been totally fine if we both like the same thing.
All right, so I'm going to pick another one. I was going to pick Snappy, but I had the same thoughts as Poppy. I know that Daniel was very, very excited about it. I'm picking something that not many people have been talking about, but I think it's really cool. It's the Unity 8 session preview, where you can essentially log in from your regular LightDM or greeter screen and then get into full Unity 8 mode. I'll stress the fact that on 16.04 is a tech preview. It's not something that we're shipping by default. You can install it if you want to test it, and you can give us feedback. You can play with it and start experimenting. I mean, Unity 8 is going to be the most visible part of Convergence, where we will have not just same code base, but the same UI across devices and form factors. Right now, I find it's working pretty well. You can install a few apps. You can also, if you're creative, you can install a few of the core apps from the phone as well, and they actually work really well. I've been using those for testing. I've been using Deco. I've been using the terminal. I've been using what else? I've been trying the Ubuntu browser. And a couple of other core apps that I installed. Right now, one of the things that are not working yet is the fact that you cannot install cliques. Don't quote me on that, but I think this is going to be worked on as part of an SRU, which would make the well, essentially, it should make it much easier to install phone applications if they are built with for the right architecture. And I think with that, actually, I answered one of our first questions that we had today. So, Alan Bell, I think you were asking specifically about the Unity 8 session. So I hope that's answered that. And if not, just let us know, and we can add some more context.
And maybe all the people who are listening in, maybe you can let us know on IRC what your favorite things in 16.04 are, and then we can read them out as well. I'm curious because I'm sure I missed quite a few, especially all the stuff that has happened in the flavors. I didn't pay too much attention, so it would be really nice to know what they've been working on.
I'll give you one flavor thing that is really nice. In Ubuntu Mate, Martin Wimpress and a couple of the others Mate there, the community guys have developed a thing called Welcome, and it's like a thing that comes up when you first install, and tells you where you can get help, and tells you, where the community are and where you can get news and all that kind of stuff. But one of the really nice things about it is it has the ability to install software, and Martin has cherry-picked a bunch of software that most people want to install. So when you see these guides, like 10 things to do after you've installed Ubuntu, he's picked the best things that people always choose, like the 10 best things to install, and he's put them right there in the welcome screen. So a lot of people will want to install GIMP maybe, or Steam, or some other Inkscape, or a bunch of other applications that aren't on the CD, and the welcome application lets you just go through and say install this, install that, and it queues them all up and does them one after the other. So you can queue up like lots of stuff to install and get your system ready to go right out of the box. It's really, really nice. It's something we've talked about and considered, but never done, and they just got on and made it for Ubuntu Mate. It's really, really nice, and obviously it's open source, so if someone wants to fork it for another flavor or something, then they can go right ahead.
Yeah.
All right, shall we pick some of the questions?
Go ahead.
So I'm just scrolling back a bit. So the first question is from Friedman NZ. He's saying he's from New Zealand. So, oh wow, it's 2:38 a.m. Saturday here for him or her. I cannot tell from the name.
And now it's like 3:15.
Oh man. So talk about passion for Ubuntu. So thanks a lot for joining us, first of all, before we answer your question. And thanks for joining us for the first time on Ubuntu On Air. The question is this about star Ubuntu or just Ubuntu? Where star Ubuntu, I guess it's all related to flavors or Ubuntu derivatives. Essentially, you can ask questions about anything related to Ubuntu in particular, or also open source. We always try to answer as much as we can, or if not, we forward you to other experts, essentially. You've probably noticed we've been talking about flavors, so feel free to ask questions of flavors, derivatives, and so on. I'm just going through the next ones. The next one was from Alan Bell, and he answered more questions related. Sorry, he asked some more questions related to that, but we'll skip to the next one for now. I noted there was one about security, which I'm missing. Was this one asked earlier on?
The question was about what do you have to say about Matthew Garrett's blog about snappy security? Yeah, for those of you who haven't been, you don't know what the post was about. It's about X11. So the current state of things is, since the last, I don't know, 10, 20 years, is that if you install an application which uses X11, so the standard windowing system, it's possible for any app to read what the other apps are doing. So if you're typing something, not just your browser will know, but others can know as well. That's why it's so important that in Ubuntu we have review processes for all the packages and so on, and that's what we've been doing. The new windowing window managers like Mail and Wayland, they're going to solve the issue. So the question which Matthew brought up was, like he brought up an example where he showed that this is also it's not just a problem in Ubuntu desktop, but a problem with Snappy as well. So if you choose to install an X11 app, that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's important to. I think it's important to background. Thanks, Daniel. Yeah. I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that the technical facts were accurate. Essentially, if you're on an X environment, Snappy doesn't offer you any extra level of protection related to in comparison to what we had before. What it does actually offer you more protection on is on any other AppArmor accesses that can then be blocked by the policy. I think one important thing to say is to stress as well is that this is not yet the full story on the full security story on the desktop. The full security story with full confinement will be coming with Unity 8 and Mir. However, this is indeed a step up from the previous story, where you could just install any package and it had access to the whole of your system. We have to say as well that the Snappy security model is based on interfaces that regulate the accesses to resources on your system and how apps share data. Right now we're I think we've got a strong base, but we'll be working in the coming weeks, in the coming months, on making these interfaces more useful for app developers. Essentially consolidating them and making sure that they are as secure and as flexible as possible. As an example as well, one that no one has mentioned is the home interface, which essentially gives you access to writing and reading apps to your home directory. By default, this is for snaps. is an interface that's not connected, meaning that users have to explicitly agree to get to get files written or read from their system. Again, just as citing this as an example of an improved security level. But yeah, as I said, this is about acknowledging the facts and mentioning that that we're working towards a more fully confinement story with the advent of Mir and the Unity 8 session.
Yeah, a lot of these things are still being figured out. Also, how to alert the user on a desktop system, for example, that an app needs access to something that's, for example, is also one thing that is still being discussed and being figured out. No one right now is basically advertising Snappy and Snaps as the replacement for shipping desktop apps. For example, there's also the question of how much other libraries are bundled, how big the packages are, and there's still quite a few things to be rolled out. But still, as David said, a lot of great things have landed already, and they're improving the security story and other stories such as rollbacks, access to the store, all of that. It's gotten so much easier, and this is just one milestone on the way. And it was important to have it in 1604, and that's what it is. Snapd is going to be updated, and Snapcraft and all the tools are going to be updated through the life cycle of 1604. So people who want to start looking into this or basing their work on this, they can do that with 1604. And I think you have to see it in that light. I doubt that tomorrow all the desktop apps are going to be delivered as snaps. That's not quite the reality yet. So to sum it up, take the blog post with a pinch of salt and see what the bigger story is. That would be what I have to say.
All right then, which one do we have next? Is that the one from Dick Butt one? Are there plans to make icons in Ubuntu more interactive like iOS, showing the actual date on the calendar icon, etc.? I remember there had been talks and discussions about this, but I'm not really on the latest stand. Perhaps, Poppy, you work more closely with the design team for core apps and so on. Perhaps you know more?
I think there was a bug filed specifically for that use case of the calendar being able to change its icon. I think that would be a pleasant experience to be able to look at your phone and without actually opening the calendar have an icon that's got the right day on it. It's just a more pleasant thing. I don't think Unity supports that yet. Effectively, it's having a dynamically updated icon. We just don't have support for that in Unity yet. If we did, then yeah, we could add multiple different icons. I can imagine having the weather app icon change, depending upon what the weather's like in your current location, or the clock showing, to the nearest minute what the time is, or something like that. So yeah, it's something we've been asked for. It's not been super high on the priority list, but I'll certainly raise it. I'm at a sprint next week where all the desktop people are going to be, and a lot of design people and people who work on Unity. So I shall certainly raise that question again next week when I'm in the same place as all those people.
Awesome.
It's great to have you that close to all these people.
Yeah, maybe not. They won't see it like that when I keep asking them these relentless questions that keep coming up.
All right. So next question is from Alan Bell. How do I get an app scope on my Unity 8 desktop session mirror? Do I need to install extra stuff? Without an app scope, I don't know how to start everything else. In principle, you should have the apps scope already installed when you first log into the session. The first thing that you get is like a window with the app scope contained in it. So that's how you start applications. Now, in terms of installing applications, going back a bit to what I was saying earlier, there's no support for installing clicks on the desktop yet. But I believe, and again, don't quote me on that, that this is being worked on as an SRU. However, you can be creative in installing applications. One of the things that you can do is to, well, first of all, you can drop to a terminal. You can go to TTI1, for example, with Control-Alt-F1, and then install applications from there. One way of installing applications, one good set of applications to test are the core apps. You can install them from a PPA that I set up a while ago. That's essentially a daily build for all of the core apps. Essentially, whenever you get a new commit, you get a new build on that PPA. So from there, what you can do is first of all install the terminal app from your TTI1, TTY1. And then once in there, you can go back to the Unity 8 session. I think it's not the usual Control-Alt-F7, but Control-Alt-F8, because of Unity 8, of course. And from there, and using the terminal, you can install the rest of the applications. And they will turn up they will show up in your apps scope, and then you can launch them from there. Now, another option, again, being creative, and these are all workarounds until we have click support working on the desktop, and then ultimately snap support working on the Unity 8 session. You could conceivably install Libertine, which is the I was going to say well, it's more like a framework for installing and running X apps under Mir, and from there, you can then install GNOME Software, for example, and install X apps from there. However, this should work in theory. I haven't tried the second option though. So yeah, you've got several options to experiment. And again, I'll stress that the Unity 8 session is a tech preview as it is right now for 16.04. All right, I think Daniel Sojivan had a question for you, I think, next.
Yeah, would I quit it? Oh, there he is. David Kaye just turned up, and he said he would turn up in a Xeris costume. But I guess he hasn't found it yet. Yeah, that's what brought Sujivan to ask me to make the sound of a yak. Sorry, I can't help with that. The only time I ever got near one, it didn't make any sound at all, so I'm no help there.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I couldn't find my squirrel costume, so let's just pretend I'm a squirrel with a human costume.
It works for me.
All right then, next.
Right, so there was if I didn't miss any of the questions, there was one from Alan Bell about if it was possible if snaps were x11 untrusted clients, much like launching them from SSH-X localhost. I have no idea, but we're going to have a Snappy clinic next week. We should discuss it there. Okay, there was a question from Fritman NZ. I guess it's the person from New Zealand staying up very late. Is there any way to easily replace OpenBox in Ubuntu? Have you guys been using Ubuntu already? Do you know anything about this?
OpenBox is in the archive, so I'm guessing you can install it from the repo. I know it's quite a popular lean desktop environment, but I haven't used it for some years. The last computer I used it on, I will show you, is this. I don't know if you remember these things. This is an Intel Classmate PC, which is very old and has a lovely round mouse and is missing an F6 key because when my son was about 2 years old, he stuck his fingernail in there and ripped it out, and I've never been able to replace it. But yeah, that's the kind of thing. And this is a Celeron, I think Celeron, like 900 megahertz or something like that. It's really lean. So yeah, OpenBox is lovely, and I'm pretty sure it's in the archive. So yeah, it should be just an apt getaway or an apt away.
Yeah. Yeah, from the question, it sounded a bit like that's what Ubuntu is using, and they were trying to move away from it. I don't know. Yeah.
Did I misunderstand the question?
Maybe I misunderstood it.
Ask again.
Is there any way to easily replace OpenBox in Ubuntu?
Oh, replace it. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I guess it's possible. You will just have to tinker around and make sure everything works afterwards. Like, I don't know how well Ubuntu is going to respond to
having PCs removed.
Metacity running or something. I have no idea.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So going back a bit for our question for Sujivan.
What is that?
Well, it's supposed to be a yak, but I think it's a yak in pain, rather.
What a majestic beast.
Right.
For the 1610 release. Right. Moving on, I guess. Aurora Avenue asked, what is the green policy of Canonical, taking into account we are all supposed to be with the climate change camp now?
I don't think we have a published one. I don't think we have a published policy. We have like internal policies, like we don't spend a lot of money on large air-conditioned offices, but we each work from home. And when we travel, we tend to pool together and use public transport where possible, rather than big expensive cars. And we don't tend to buy huge amounts of hardware as a company. We don't have loads of desktop PCs lying around all switched on all the time. And even when people do get their allowance to be able to buy a new laptop, some people don't even do that, and they just put that money to one side and keep working with an existing machine. I know I've extended the life of my computers longer than most, but I don't think we have a published policy, a green policy in any way.
Also, less commuting.
Yes, the fact that we work from home means there's considerably fewer people who commute, and given we use tools like online tools, we don't tend to fly people about quite so much. We do fly people together, but we try and find locations which don't impact a huge number of people if possible. I hope that answers your question. I realise it doesn't, but it's close.
Right. Aurora Avenue also asked, just to be sure, maybe I've missed it, when can we get our hands on a convergence phone in our hands exactly?
we don't do product announcements on these Q&As. So the answer is you'll have to either ask one of our partners, and maybe if you ask them really, really nicely, they might tell you. Good luck with that. Or you just have to be patient and wait for a product announcement when that happens. But we don't know.
Right. One thing to mention, though, might be that if you're talking not specifically about the phone, you can get a convergent tablet that is working already in desktop mode or in tablet mode right now. That's the M10 from BQ, and I've been seeing on the social media feeds that people have been getting theirs in the last few days.
Cool. Aurora Avenue also asked, any change with the HUD?
No change from last week, but I will ask next week when I'm with the design and desktop team. So I am making notes of these questions that you people are asking me, and I will take them with me.
Cool. There was also a question, what is the app for the Panama WikiLeaks revelations?
Your web browser.
I hadn't even heard that there was a dedicated app for it. Okay, another one about apps. Finding apps is hard. Is there an easier way to find and sort out which apps do what in an easy-to-understand manner?
I tend to use UApp Explorer more than anything, and I find that if I search, the search on there is pretty good, but also there's a little info box that the developer can optionally put in there, which gives some detail about what the app does, and that's the same detail that you see on the phone immediately underneath the screenshot. There's a screenshot, the license, contact, and there's a little bit of text, and that's, if you go to UApp Explorer, you can see all that kind of detail and search all that detail as well.
Oh,
Do we know?
and
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, recently scopes have been receiving new features, such as more ways to filter results. The store scope hasn't upgraded hasn't moved to use these changes yet, but it should soon. So this will be another way to filter, to see new apps, to see top apps, to inside a department. So it will be a bit more helpful.
Cool. Now we're getting, I don't know. Yeah, these questions are getting a bit strange. Sorry, I was just a bit confused. Okay, so here's a question. Do you think the Ubuntu phone tablet is too expensive for Africans? Again, like we're making the software. It's open source. It's free. It's available for anyone. And products are somebody else's announcement and somebody else's decision on what a good market price is.
Yeah,
So,
we've never targeted the like the super low end phone. It's never been our target to have. I know Mozilla tried to go for the $25 phone, and that hasn't actually worked out very well for them. So I'm not drawing a line between those two things, but I don't think we're going to aim for the $25 phone. There's plenty of other people out there who make super low end phones for developing or emerging markets.
All right, so another question from Aurora Avenue. My friend from the community project gave me a copy of Linux, the complete manual. How do I say thank you with a gift using the canonical Ubuntu philosophy exactly? Just give them a hug. I think that's a nice way to say thank you.
We're traditional at UDSs. We miss those because isn't there a video somewhere of people flash hugging you, Daniel?
There is.
In Prague.
Yeah. They almost
Hugging
knocked
each
out my teeth, but yeah, it's good.
Energetic hugging. All right, energetic hugging. All right. We've got a battery of questions from Aura Avenue. Let's see if we can go through those quickly because there are others queuing up. Do Ubuntuists believe in heaven? I think being part of the Ubuntu is, one of the nice things about it is that we welcome diversity, be it belief, be it gender, be it wherever you come from. So I'd say this is a particular question that you need to ask to particular Ubuntu members. In general, there's no policy on what to believe, other than that open source is the way to go when it comes to releasing software and working collaboratively. Does Canonical believe in sourcing products from responsible environmental sources? I think we've kind of answered that one when we were talking about the green policy. We don't have a policy as such, but we as a company and as I'd say even as Ubuntu community members, we are mindful of ways in which we use natural resources responsibly.
I'll take a couple of questions. One is, could we do an Etherpad to track questions for free? We have an Etherpad instance. You can create pages on Etherpad. Perfectly fine. That's not a problem. The only gotcha with using our Etherpad is you have to be a member of a particular Launchpad group to be able to edit the Etherpad. And that's a barrier for some people. Whereas we try to make being able to ask questions in this Q&A as easy as possible, and it is as easy as pointing your web browser at ubuntuonair.com and then mashing the keyboard in the bottom part of the web page. It's as you've discovered. So that's probably the easiest way. Etherpad, want to collate questions ahead of time in there, that'll be fine. But yeah, it adds an extra barrier to entry. Then there was another question about have we had an audit of exactly how many volunteers there are working for Ubuntu systems? I guess that means how many community people there are. We haven't done this for a while. We used to periodically look at things like how many developers there are in particular teams on Launchpad, how many changes have been done, over a particular period of time, how many people have requested Ubuntu membership, and I think it takes a little bit of time to collate that data, and I don't think anyone's done it recently, unless I'm mistaken, and it might be something that we could discuss during the roundtable at UOS in a couple of weeks. How we measure the community and how we measure contributions and whether there's something we can do to improve things here or there. I think that would be a valuable session to have at UOS. We often talk about that anyway at UOS, but it'd be good to have a session about it.
All right. We should have about 15 minutes. I think we should be able to go through all of the questions. Again, Aurora is asking a bunch of questions. Let's see if we can get through this. Is Ubuntu Touch a young person's millennials product? We always say that Ubuntu, and that includes the phone, the desktop version, and anything else that we develop is is a system for human beings, regardless of your age. So I'd say Ubuntu is just for everyone. Which is better, a System76 laptop or a Dell XPS Sputnik laptop for service? To be honest, can someone take that question while I carry on?
It's hard to answer that question because I don't have a System76 or a Dell laptop. ThinkPad's all the way, everyone. But I've heard good things about both. So, you know, not a customer, I couldn't possibly comment.
Yeah, same here. It's been ThinkPads for me for the last 12 years. Okay.
Yep.
Can we put the Ubuntu on air.com address into the calendar for Jose to do? I'm going to pass this on. Question. Next one. What does your mind say about disabled accessibility progress on Ubuntu? How far have we got? And please don't just mention mailing lists. Don't know what the mailing list comment is referring to, but we've had an accessibility team in Ubuntu since the very early days, and I was somewhat involved with them. And there's quite a few features in Ubuntu which should help people with special needs, no matter if they have eyesight problems or like there's different fonts, there's different themes, there's the what's it called, the braille thing, which is shipped by default, and lots of other features, and they all come with Ubuntu by default. If there's anything you are missing or where you feel there's something we should ship on top of what we already have, please let us know. Please bring it up on the mailing list. It's one of Ubuntu's key promises. We want to make Ubuntu available to everyone, no matter which language they speak, if they have any special needs. So this is important. Bring it up. Okay. Why is there no Ubuntu Vape group on Canonical Launchpad, as many users do vape? I feel like I'm maybe a bit too old or something. I have no idea what vape is.
I think I win the old skates here, my friend.
But I'm sure you know what it is, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of like fun and stupid Launchpad groups, and I think we try not to encourage them, but you know they pop up now and then. But yeah, we don't dictate what groups should exist on Launchpad, or what IRC channels should or shouldn't exist, or what forums or communities. If people want to build a community of cat lovers or dog lovers, or in fact there is a community of smokers. I'm pretty sure there is a Launchpad group of people who are smokers, and I think you're in it, Daniel.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Ah, okay.
I quit like 2 years ago.
Yay!
Very happy with that.
So
there's also a vegetarians group on
Right.
Launchpad. Yeah, lovers of Martin Pitt are also on Launchpad. It's fantastic.
Of course. Yes.
There's also wiki.ubuntu.com/social. If you have any other crazy groups you can find anywhere on the internet, just list them there.
Yep. Okay. One last question from Aroa was, why don't we have a real-time translation app on Ubuntu phone? Real-time. So I'm not sure if that means a real-time translation app where you speak into it and it comes out in a different language, or you type in it and it comes out in a different language, or whether you mean an app that allows you to translate Ubuntu into other languages. I'm going to assume the former, and the answer is because nobody's written one yet. So feel free to write one. Okay. Any more questions?
All right, so we've got another hot question from Alan Bell. Any idea which release is going to be Unity 8 Mir by default with Unity 7 as an option? I'm not going to set the stage. I'm not going to make any announcements here. Just to say that we're working hard to make Unity 8 the default on the desktop. I know in the past we've said that perhaps 16.10. What I would recommend would be to join US and listen to the roadmaps, or listen and join into the roadmap sessions from the Unity / Mir teams, where they will explain in more detail what it takes to make Unity 8 Mir the default session. But yeah, ultimately that's the goal. One thing to remember as well is that there are two places in which Unity 8 will be becoming the default. One is the I'll call it Classic Ubuntu, just to differentiate it, but it's not that Classic Ubuntu is a new product. Classic Ubuntu is the Ubuntu that we all know. So Classic Ubuntu is where you can see the Unity 8 session as a tech preview right now, and there I would say it will land there when it's ready. The other place is going to be Ubuntu Personal, which is what we're planning to release as the converged or fully converged code base to be usable on the phone and on the desktop, on tablets, and that will have essentially will no longer ship a Unity 8 session. Essentially, sorry, a really fine and important point. Thanks, Fopi. So it's not going to have a Unity 7 session, but it will be Unity 8 from the ground up. And work on Personal has started already, also indirectly as well, because all of the work that's been happening with snaps on the desktop, with Snappy, and actually the phone, it's something that brings us closer to that goal.
Right. So, the ultimate goal is that there will be an ISO image that is the one that's got Unity 7 on it right now, and later on we'll have Unity 8 on it at some undetermined time, and then there'll be some other kind of image that would be Unity 8 from the start and not have Unity 7 at all. Is that what you're saying? And that would be the personal one.
All right. Any hot hints on new features on the Ubuntu desktop in 16.10? It's going to be awesome. And come to US to learn more about it, essentially. That's what I would say. Or do you guys have got any insights on anything that's coming that might be worth sharing?
Snappy support in GNOME software.
Yay! Yeah.
True.
So, yeah. Which, by the way, this is something that will be coming as well in the upcoming weeks, actually, to 16.04. If you have been already experimenting with snaps on the desktop, you'll have found out that right now you can only install them from the command line. However, the idea is to ship Ubuntu software with a plugin to talk to the Ubuntu store, meaning that you'll be able to install, browse, and run applications directly from the store client.
Something I'd like to see, which might be interesting, two things that I'd like to see in 16.10. One would be the ability to update without rebooting, update the kernel without rebooting, because apparently the kernel supports that now. And the other thing would be for the installer to support ZFS by default. For fun, you know.
Excellent. All right. Just to for the sake of completeness, Alan Bell is mentioning that that he had to install an extra package to get the apps scope running on the Unity 8 session, which was Unity-scope-click.
Ah.
Right. So we might actually need to file a bug for that. I didn't have to install it, but it might as well have been because I had already installed it for testing purposes or whatnot. Okay, and then another question related to that, or rather another comment. Alan Bell is mentioning that Windows open for a fraction of a second and it goes. That's a bug that I actually had as well. There is a bug report about this, which I'll paste in a second. But a workaround for that is to make sure that the CG Manager service is running. So what I do essentially whenever I want to start the Unity 8 session, for some reason in my case it doesn't start the service either. I open a terminal or a TTY and I just run sudo service CG Manager start, if I remember correctly. And let me search that now.
Sujivan is asking, what's planned for UOS? The schedule is pretty empty right now. Well, we are working on it, and you will see a lot of sessions popping up in the next 2 weeks. Koshibu is asking, will Rhythmbox ever be bug-free? I'm not using it anymore. Anyone wants to take it?
I mean, I think that's the conceptual question. Will software ever be bug-free? I think it's fair to pick on Rhythmbox, but yeah, I mean, by definition, software is still written by humans, and I think something that we've learned in Ubuntu over the last few years is that testing and having a solid test suite is very, very important to avoid regressions and bugs. So yeah, I take this rather than an answer as a guideline for designing software.
Digbet1 is asking, are you all working at home? Myself, I'm in a shared office right now. But what about you guys?
Yeah, same here. Sometimes working from, sometimes in a shared office, and sometimes from wherever I am at the time.
I know, yeah, on the beach, at the beach with a cocktail. I know.
Always.
I work from home, and sometimes a friend of mine invites me round to her house, and a few of us go and sit around there, and it's quite good fun because there's she works for a large database company, and one of the other guys works for a company where they like to wear coloured hats, and we sit and talk about various work-related stuff while we're working. It's quite enjoyable. So yeah, I enjoy that. It's
Excellent.
nice to interact with people rather than just having my cats to keep me company.
Excellent. And I hear there's croissants as well in those gatherings.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right, and yeah, I work from home as well. I don't think I've ever worked from a shared office. It's always been home or whatever I happen to be. In recent times, I'm originally from a region called Catalonia in Spain, and in recent times I've been traveling quite often there. So sometimes if you see a different background, it's where I'm working from in another country, but generally always from home. All right, actually, we've done pretty well today. Have we gone through all of the questions?
There was the last one about getting involved in the development process of Unity 8. It's the same as always. Get in touch with the people on the mailing lists, on ISC, bug reports, especially if you're volunteering to do some of the work. I'm sure people will hear you. And also, we talked about it earlier. Online Summit is 3rd to 5th of May. There's also going to be a good opportunity to bring up whatever crazy ideas you have. So be there.
Excellent.
What was the last one?
All right, then. So we're actually finished on time with all of the questions answered. So thanks a lot, everyone, for the great questions as usual. Also for joining us and sharing this time with us, talking about what we all love and do. It's going to be an exciting time after 1604. We've got a very solid release out there now. We've got some really new and exciting things coming up. Think Snappy, think phone, think convergence, think tablets and devices, and I'll stop naming buzzwords now. So we'll see you next week at the regular time. That's Tuesday at 1500 UTC. And next week there will be 2 of us. I don't know who yet, but we'll sure be there for you guys. So thanks a lot. Have a nice weekend, and see you next week.
Bye-bye.
See you around.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.